Well, what's up, fellas? I want to go ahead and talk about childhood with you today. And I had a subscriber come by from Ontario, Canada, just yesterday, and he came by and I basically signed a couple things for him and basically took pictures and stuff like that. And it kind of made me realize how different childhood is today than it was when I was growing up. And I know everybody gets to the stage where they start reminiscing about the childhood. I'm pretty sure some of you guys remember Woody Wagons and things like that. But I'm just going through that nostalgic period in my life where it's like everything that I know and love is not really relevant anymore. Let's do this for example. When I was going to school, nobody had cell phones. I mean, well, I guess towards the end of high school, cell phones started to come into play. But those are like those blue bricks, those Nokia things. And then people, you weren't allowed to have them out in school. Now my sister can take an iPhone 4S right in class with her and nobody gives a crap. I mean, they fought it and fought it until the point where, well, it's just there. You know, they don't really bother confiscating them anymore because everybody has them. And it goes to show like this, it goes to really young kids. Like, for example, I was in GameStop the other day. I was picking up Crisis 3, and I brought Brandy with me. And me and Brandy just had like almost a month and a half period where she didn't have a cell phone at all. She couldn't afford the payments. So while we were there, GameStop around my area actually sells used like iPhones, iPads, and iPad Nanos and iPod Nanos and such. And a kid goes, he goes, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, please buy me an iPhone 4." And she's like, "You already have an iPhone tablet." Well, whatever the tablet's called. And it bothered Brandy so much. And I'm sitting there looking at it. This kid couldn't have been more than 7. And like, when I would never entrust a 7-year-old to hold anything worth more than $100. Never. Like, I wouldn't entrust a 7-year-old to put a CD into the CD player. That's how little I trust 7-year-olds. And this kid has a brand new tablet, and he needs an iPhone for school. What does a 7-year-old need for school? You know what? I went to school my entire life at 7, and I never once needed to call home. I mean, I had the ability to. There was phones in the office. There was phones that you could use throughout the school. The phones were there if you needed to call home. What's so important that you have to have your own special line to whoever you need to call at the age of 7? You know what I was doing at the age of 7? Wondering when recess was happening. Wondering if we were going to have pizza for lunch. These were the thoughts that a Wings of Redemption at 7-year-old was having. I wasn't having like, oh, can I play Angry Birds on my iPhone? I guess it's just it's the date and time. But like, I'm wondering what it's going to do like to the long run of people. How little the imagination is actually going to go in that ballpark. I mean, I had video games growing up too. Video games was between video games and movies, that's taken up a large part of my life. Those are two of my passions. Movies is probably a bigger passion, but video games is right there with it. And I remember because I was talking to Samal just a while ago, and Samal goes, "How long is the Crisis 3 single player?" I go, "Well, I think I beat it in about 5 hours, 5.5 hours." And he goes, "Man, that sucks." I'm like, "Yeah, it kind of sucks. I mean, the campaign feels like it was tacked on." But on the other end of it, I go, the length of the campaign generally isn't what does it for me. Like back when I was a kid, the first game that came to mind was Resident Evil 2. Of course, I played Resident Evil as well, but I kind of played it a little lopsided. I got Resident Evil 2 first, and playing that game made me go back and search out Resident Evil 1, which I did like better. I mean, but the fact is, both of those games can be completed within an hour and a half to 2.5 hours on a normal cycle. I guess if it's your first time playing through, it might take you 4.5 hours, 5 hours. If it's the very first time, you got to figure the puzzles out for yourself. But once you know where to go, once you have your route down, you pretty much just can plow right through the game, and there's no problem whatsoever. And I played those games 3 or 4 times. Hell, I can. You know what I actually liked to do when I was a little kid? I really enjoyed listening to the radio and making mixtapes. I mean, I had the worst mixtapes when I was a kid. I would actually record the commercials on the mixtape itself. Like I would just straight up record like the radio show that night, and then I'd listen to it again the next day. But I felt like I was doing something big. I was like, yeah, I'm making a mixtape, and it was really cool. And we kept them around. We played them for ourselves, and things like that. But I would sit there and make these little mixtapes on mine. It was like a little side radio that most people right now would probably be like, ugh, this is all you got. You know, that kind of deal. It had one little speaker, didn't have no bass. All they had was a little cassette player, one little speaker, and little buttons on top. But we would play Final Fantasy VII, and we'd sit there power level while listening to the radio. And that's what we did. We didn't have a computer. We didn't have the iPhones and the instant music. We couldn't download what we wanted. Speaking of music with download, this is commentaries all over the place. I remember wanting to hear Nookie again. Back in 2000, I think I was just coming out of middle school. No. I was going into high school. And I think I was ninth grade. I don't know. It was in that transition period between the end of middle school, beginning of high school. That kind of area right there. And Limp Bizkit came out with Nookie, which I think was 2000. And there was a thing called Total Request Live. And the only way that I knew how to hear Nookie again was to listen to Total Request Live. So I would get off the bus, and it would come on just as soon as you got off the bus. It was like 3:30. 3:30, I think it came on. And you could go and listen to the thing. And I was really into like Korn and Limp Bizkit back then. Don't know why, but I just was. It's a stage. Everybody goes through stage. There's all kinds of music that people listen to. But I'd go there and I'd listen to it and I'd listen to it and listen to it, and that would be my highlight. I'd go home, I'd listen to Nookie, and then I'd watch the Chicago Cubs play. That's what I did as a kid. and after that, I would go, do homework or and then I'd get on PlayStation, play Final Fantasy Tactics, play Final Fantasy VII for like the 15th time, play Resident Evil 6 for the 58th time, Resident Evil 2 for the 58th time. And that was life. I mean, we did other stuff as well. And that brings me to my first computer. I remember my first computer. I loved that thing. It was a gateway. And like, this is before you realize that branding doesn't determine the power of something. Like at school we would talk about, ooh, I have a Daewoo, which Daewoo like makes cars now or something. And it'd be like, oh, my gateway's way faster than your Daewoo. Had no clue what we had in our computers. I look at it back now, I'm like, how the fuck did I do anything with that computer? But then somebody got a Dell, I'm like, oh, a Dell. You got a Dell. Oh, man. My gateway computer had 32 megabytes MB of readable, of RAM. I think it had, like, I don't know, it had something like 400 MB of actual storage. 600 MB of storage. I don't think it even had a gig. And like the game that I would play on it was I'd play StarCraft, and I played StarCraft after I got the power stick upgrade, because they would sell like they do now. They would sell memory sticks, and I think we got a 2 gig upgrade, and that was like the most the motherboard could hold, and that allowed us to actually install StarCraft. This was way back around 2000 as well. And I played Diablo before that. Diablo was pretty much a nothing game. Like, there is actually not even an install for Diablo anymore. That's how small that game was. But I'd play it online, and I had a ball. And that's when Napster first got big, and you could start downloading music. So we had like Soulfly, and like, who else did we have downloaded back then? They had Sonic Youth Radio back then, so that's where we hit the Soulfly is Umbabata Umba album. So we had a lot of Soulfly, a lot of DMX. I mean, I wasn't really too much in Metallica. That was more of Chris's thing. God, dude, I'm sitting here reminiscing. I want to go transition into the first car. Because I remember my first car, too. It was a 91 Honda Accord. Didn't have a CD player, but it was like loaded for what it was. It was an EX Honda Accord with a 2.2 liter inline 4 on it. I don't know. I'm sitting here reminiscing. Got some pretty cool stuff. We're actually going to go pick up a truck today. We're actually going to try to take this truck and transform it into like a work truck. So if you guys want to see a video of that, let me know in the comment section below. If you want to hear more about my childhood stories, let me know in the comment section below. It helps me out tremendously. Thank you for sitting here watching my video and listening to me ramble. I appreciate everything you do. If you'd like to send letters to me, I'm going to do a letter video sometime this week. Y'all keep my P.O. box then. And I'm Audi 5000. Hope you guys have a wonderful day.